Fighters, what's going on? Hey, today I'm excited to sit down with Derek Johnson, one of our fight coaches, and we shoot the shit about our experiences at Mile High Profit Summit. And these are just some of the highlights of what we feel were like the best moments. It was such a great event for community and gratitude and tactics, and already hearing a bunch of stories how people are implementing things that they learned from the event. And they're already winning, not even a week and a half after the event. They're winning at higher levels because they're fucking implementing the shit that we teach. And so listen, you have to be an implementer. Stop being just a consumer. So anyway, without further ado, here's my conversation with Derek. And also be on the lookout for the Mile High Profit Summit 2024 event recordings coming out soon so that you can gain knowledge, wisdom, tactics, strategies to help you grow your business. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being part of the fight. Here's my talk with Derek. Fighters, today I'm chilling with my man Derek. We're going to shoot the shit about the last Mile High Profit Summit that we just had. Finished it about a week ago, and we're excited to just kind of give a little recap from our own perspective of what we felt were the best parts of the event and the highlights, and be on the lookout if you didn't attend and you want to grab the recordings. Those will be available soon. But Derek, what's going on, man?
Hey, just happy to be here, dude. It was such a fantastic time in Denver, and I can't get enough of it, man. There's so many highlights. There's so many things we got to talk about because it was the best one. So well oiled, man. Best one so far.
Well, Lindsay knocked it out of the park, and obviously the whole team did, but Lindsay spearheaded the whole planning and organization. And I got more comments this year how well run it was than any other year.
She's probably still sleeping
from people. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. I don't know about, I tell you, it's funny that, let's see, we ended it on a Saturday, and then last week, was the first week in like 9 months that we had nothing to do for Mile High. And it was funny because I was like, I don't know what to do this week. So it was one of those.
You don't know what to do with yourself.
All this bandwidth was opened up. But I'll tell you, I want to give you when you say, Tom, what do you think of immediately from Mile High 2024? Yeah. It felt like every time I was outside and turned a corner, I saw Derek smoking a cigar.
I was holding court, man. That's just where it just happened to be.
Dude, it was so cool because the hotel, they're like, oh, you can't bring your drinks outside and you can't do this and you can't do it. And every time I was out there were you and probably 20 or 30 other dudes out there with your bourbons and cigars. And
yep, that's it. That's what you got. We're contractors.
That whole place smelled like a cigar, man. It was cool.
That's awesome. That's there you go. What do you do?
Oh. So, yeah, it's a bittersweet thing because it's always good to get, several hundred people together that are like-minded in the fight. But we're, as we've talked about for months, this was the last one for several reasons. And we got some other cool plans coming up, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time on that. But what, I know we're going to talk about a few things here that we each thought were pretty cool, but I'm just curious before we get into that, how would you describe Mile High, just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 this year? What jumps out?
Community. I'm always blown away by the community. So many people, because, they'll see us in the battleground group and you have that connection, online. And then obviously there's so many people that come to this event that we know personally from other industries. And then over the years, we've developed relationships with them because of the fight and because of Mile High and because of, other places that we'll meet and gather. And the community is it's like everybody's so comfortable and so welcoming. And you can even see that nervous person that's never been around this group. You see them that first day, and the next day it's just like they're home. Like the safety that's within this group. I've never been around a community this large that has that connection, because you get around some other groups and they're so big you don't really know people, but this is several hundred people that know each other, and then they hang out, like seeing all the Facebook posts of everybody going to dinners and hanging out, kind of with their crew, if you will. And then the different, you got your East Coast, West Coast, your North and your South, and you see how I kind of know you in this area, so let's hang out. It's like the community was the one thing that jumps out to me every single time.
Yeah, it's different. It's like we can sit here and talk all day about how different it is, but until you experience it, you don't believe it. You think, yeah, everybody says that, right? But I'm blown away. I walk around there. I mean, shit. I was talking to some of the vendors, and they're like, I can't believe how engaged your people are. Everybody's in the seats. They're like taking notes. They're getting better. They're coming out here, spending time with us. They're spending money with us. You know, just you guys seem like one big family. That's a couple first time sponsors shared that with me, man. They were like, what's in the fucking Kool-Aid here, man?
Right.
So,
and that's something I see too, since you mentioned that. There's so many things going on, because I was fortunate to be MC again this year. So I'm really trying to focus, which, that's kind of tricky for me. In between cigars, I have to get on stage and then the privilege to speak there again. So I had a lot to focus on, definitely just not in the crowd. Right. But when I would go out, it was really interesting to see how other people would share the hotel themselves, and yes, the vendors, and there was another group, and I can't think of what that other forensic pathology or something. There was another group down there, and one lady said, like, I go to these events all the time, and I've never seen a group like you guys. Like, this is a very engaged, like everybody's focused and engaged and very polite.
Mm-hmm.
So it was neat to get that perspective from others. Evidently, I guess when you go to these conferences and you're not in the contractor fight, it just must be boring and a mess. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I had a guy, was it last year or two years ago? He was in the concrete industry, and they had an event across the hall from us, or down the hall, and he told me, he says, dude, every year our event's like a nursing home, man. People are just like laying in their chairs, drooling out of their mouths, trying to stay awake. And he goes, I pop my head into your event, and it's like fucking, it's a rave in there. So, and then he hired me to come speak at his company. So anyway, kind of
get
cool.
people jazzed.
Yeah. So, all right, before we get into some of these other things, what did you run your mouth on, man? I heard some good stuff about your session. Let's highlight Derek. Let's start with Derek.
Great. Here we go. Put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Basically, I just shared from beginning to end, how the sales process works, and how I typically sell twice more than the average contractor around me or my competition. And I just shared just how I do it and what I've learned over all these years, being around you, being around Steve, being around this group, just taking all these things, because, I accept being called oblivious now, since Neil Christensen called me oblivious, and I am oblivious to a lot of things and known as the implementer. And that's just how I work. I just go, if this works, I'm just going to do it. Prove it right, prove it wrong. So I just shared everything that's been working for me over the past, I guess, really 11, 12 years now. And then I get a phone call while on stage, and I look at my phone, which I should not even had my phone up there, should have been put in the back because I was speaking. But then I went, looked at everybody's like, you guys want me to answer this? And just did a live Shin-Fu in front of everybody, which was fantastic. So not only did I share everything that I've learned and my tactics, it's like, well, hell, here it is. Let's just do this. So it was fun. It was a good time.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And for those that don't know, Neil nicknamed you the oblivious implementer, which is actually a compliment. It wasn't meant to be a rip, but it's like, because that's you, like, since day one that I've known you. And guys, pay attention to this, because a lot of you guys are still struggling in your business. You've been consumers of this show and other shows and books and podcasts and YouTube channels or whatever it might be, and events, and you're still not winning at the level you want to win. And it's because of what I'm about to say. Derek, since day one, at that little boot camp in Cabo that Steve did, Steve's like, this is how we do this. And Derek's like, okay, that's what we're doing now. And then he's like, this is how we do this. And you're like, that's what we're doing now. And you've always been that way. Because, and I think what I'm about to say is also meant as a compliment. I think in some ways, and they say the most brilliant, successful entrepreneurs have this quality, and it's laziness.
Well,
like, why should I go spend my time, money, bandwidth, energy, creating something that already, that I'm not sure is going to work when I could just copy what's working.
That's the lazy, oblivious implementer. This is great. It's even better.
Man, I'm just complimenting you out of the gate here
Yeah.
today.
Yes. You know what it is, Tom?
It doesn't.
I've had to sit with this for a while to kind of go, how have I become successful? Like really, what is driving it? Because yes, the oblivious implementer. And when Neil said that, it was funny because we know when Steve called me the P word years ago, it really offended me and really pissed me off. And then when I heard Neil say oblivious, like for 2 seconds, I kind of felt my hair get up and I went, I think that's a compliment. So I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah.
But I've had to sit with, why do I implement? Why, with the oblivion, like with the laziness, like what's going on there? And I'm really, really results driven. Like I love seeing things come to fruition, come to completion. And I think that's where the artistic side of me with landscapes and water features, and like where that really drives me, is when I look at a space, I just kind of see it in my head. And then from my head to possibly paper, or not even go from my head to paper, to like literally go from my head into the ground and seeing that stuff come together.
Yeah.
That's why I implement. Like I love seeing results. That's why I don't hesitate. I don't procrastinate. And I get it. It's impatience, right? To an extent, but I think it's controlled impatience. I'm just making shit up right now. I don't even know if that's real. But even like I was sharing with you about the driveway at my house, like I've literally looked at that because that's really the kind of the finished product as far as what I've done around my house. Now there's gonna be more landscaping to go on, and there's gonna be a deck, and I shouldn't say that's the last thing at all, because it's not. Keeps mud out of my house. How about that? But I would see it.
Yeah.
And it was just like I could not. And I remember talking to Ben with Interstate Crafts, and Ben and Amy Wright, that I was like, can we do the driveway first? And he's like, no, that's the last thing that's supposed to go in. So it's like, but we really can, like, just pull off for a week. It'll dry. It'll be fine. But that's where I want to see that thing. I want to see that driveway completed. I want to see that landscape completed. When I'm talking to a customer on the phone, I want to create happiness in their space as quickly as we can, because that's why they're reaching out to us. They're unhappy. That doesn't mean people are like devastated, right? Now there is some devastation that we run into in the trades, like flood issues and things that like this is horrible. But when I think about the other person on the other end of the phone, they're unhappy. So how can we implement all these processes and procedures that we've learned, all of our techniques, and create happiness in their space, whether it's a kitchen, whether it's a addition, whatever it is. That's why I do what I do, and I do it so quickly.
Love it, man. I love it. Yeah, you're one of the few that I know that does not struggle with procrastination. That's for sure. So there's not many of you out there, and that's a good thing, man. And so you welcomed everybody. I hopped up, did a little thing, and then Tommy Mello came up. And I thought, for those, I'm sure if you're listening to the show, you know who Tommy Mello is, but if you don't, he's got like a $300 million garage door company. I think his valuation now is closing in on $1 billion. And he's you talk about a guy that's just on the attack. And so Tommy and I have talked several times through the years, been on each other's shows. This is the first time we met in person. And I had two big surprises from hanging out with him. The first was he was way taller than I thought he was. So anyway,
he's tall, dude.
Whatever. But the big thing that jumped out to me from his talk was just the amount of humility that this guy has. He was so he had every right to like be the big man on campus, and
Sure.
he gave his I think his assistant told me he gave his personal cell phone out to like 40 people that wanted to talk to him after his talk.
Wow.
He spent a lot of time with people. He jumped in the car. He thought he was going to be there later, be able to stay later. And then he had to get back because he had his event that was going on, and they were able to get an earlier flight. He had already jumped in an Uber and they were heading away. And I texted him about meeting up later, but I didn't know that he left. And dude, he was like 3 miles away. He had the Uber turn around and he drove back to give Lee and I a hug.
Wow.
Before he left town. I just thought it's a class act, and he's going to be he was so blown away by, you brought up our community. Tommy was like, dude, I ain't seen, your group is fucking amazing. This is crazy. And he was so fired up that his assistant then texted me later that day, and she's like, hey, he wants to set up a bonus marketing session with your people. So just let him know when you want him to do it, and he'll share with your people how to market the shit out of your business. So right out of the gate, you know, a couple hours into the event, that really jumped out at me was that. And, you know, we had Marcus Sheridan back.
He's always so
which
good,
is
man.
always a kick-ass thing. What were some of your things? I mean, you've heard him, I don't know, a dozen times now. We've hung out, we've done workshops with him and events and this and that. Curious, was there anything different this year that jumped out?
Yeah,
from Marcus's talks.
He's one of the better speakers that I've seen as far as the way he speaks and the way he holds a crowd. It's always impressive. Like when I think of that, when I think of speaking, and I think of just when I'm on Zoom calls or just any coaching or anything, I'm always trying to draw from Marcus because he always gets everybody engaged. So his engagement is always really impressive. And I had a few minutes to talk with him before when we were getting mic'd up, and just, you know, had some time to kind of just pick his brain. So he's just another kind, humble guy. But what really stood out to me is how he was talking about how AI is going to be used. And the one thing that really stood out that blew me away, and this was, I don't think he shared it on stage. This was when I just had the privilege of hanging out with him aside. He was saying the content that you have on your website, the content you have in your socials, specifically your website, in your blogs, if you don't already have it there, you need to get it there, because what's going to happen is AI is going to, and I'm not sure who's going to do this yet. And I'm sure I asked him, but I forgot, is there's going to be someone that's going to come to your website, and they're going to have AI read your website, and then AI is going to create the image of you. And then when you have your FAQs, like if someone wants to know about a water feature and it's how much does a water feature cost, it's going to be me standing there. That's not me, it's AI. And it's going to take all the information about what it costs to have a water feature installed, and it's going to answer the question. And they ask another question, and it's going to be me going, let me answer that question. And they're going to answer all. Wow. They ask, you answer. Like, and I went, okay.
Yeah, we brought him back this year he's done his They Ask You Answer talk for us before, and this time was how to use, from the main stage, he talked about how to use AI to do it better and faster, and he blew everyone's minds. He gave them he created an app, I guess you can call it, for your website. It's a pricing thing to help you, and he went into all the results they're getting with that and close rates and stuff. And so that was powerful. And then, you know, since we're talking about Marcus, I'll jump to we opened up our new program. It's called War Room.
Yeah.
And there's higher level contractors that want to scale to $5 and $10 million, already have certain milestones in place, and they're winning at a high level. They just want more. And Marcus also did a private session for all of our new War Room members. And that was pretty cool. I sat in for part of that, and you know, it's one thing when he's on the stage in front of hundreds of people, but when you get in a room with like 20 or 25 of you, it's different.
He is no bullshit. Yeah. Like you see the speaker go to this is how you get shit done. Like it was definitely War Room. I heard several people go, okay, that was not Marcus. It was on stage. That was Marcus. Like, it's time to get shit done now.
Yep. Yeah. And what was cool, the other thing here, just, I guess this is the pride in me right now, what we've all built over the last decade or whatever it's been, is, you know, when I was talking about the War Room group and this and that, I gave a little history lesson of the fight, of where we come from. And we had all these old pictures up there of our first events, and me, you know, recording, you know, we played a clip. I think we played a clip of my first podcast ever, and how timid I was and insecure. And
it was awful.
And now we've gone on, you know, you, me, and the team, you know, we've gone on several years. We have impacted millions of people.
It's crazy.
Through the fight. And that was a really cool moment for me, just as I was presenting the background of everything for people. And if you weren't at the event, my opening talk was about gratitude. So for me, it was like as I was going through the history of the fight, and I encourage everybody to do this in your own business as well. Like, you can beat yourself up sometimes because you're not as far as you think you should be. But when you really take some time and you look back and you examine it, it's really funny how quickly you can be grateful for how far you've come and what you've built. Right. And so, so we're excited. War Room's kicking off, and it's an amazing, we have two new groups that are kicking off here this month, and excited for that. All right. I got a couple mixed, not mixed like 50-50, but maybe 2 to 3% of the people that I talked to had a complaint about the venue.
I would love to hear that.
And the complaint was the years prior, we always had places outside where we had the networking party.
Yeah.
And we had the live bands outside, and it was just nice being outside, right? And then this time at the Hyatt Convention Center downtown Denver, we didn't have that outside thing. So I'm curious, just your thoughts about the hotel, the location, all that.
Well, first off, I don't know whose room I got, but I think they screwed up because I felt like I had the presidential suite. So I'll start there. My room was awesome. I love that. The bed was fantastic. I was like, I'm not saying shit, but I got somebody else's room, evidently.
Yeah.
No, the venue was great. I loved how it was laid out. But I didn't even think about that, Tom. It was so, even afterwards when, having the cocktails, having the drinks, and then having the food and like, I didn't miss it, but that's right. I had forgotten that we did have the outside interview and had the band. So that's good that I didn't even think about it. Like I didn't register. But no, the hotel was fantastic. The lobby was great. It's definitely the nicest place we've stayed at as far as Mile High goes. Like and last year was fine. Like, but it was definitely next level. So it was a beautiful space, and everybody was happy. But everybody got to hang out downstairs. That was kind of cool, coming down to the main area and just seeing everybody hanging out, not necessarily just at the bar, but just sitting around. And I thought the venue was great. And being downtown to people watch, I enjoyed that. To be able to walk right across the street to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and then there was several great little bars around and great little restaurants. So it was easy for everybody to disband and not have to take Uber. So I really liked it. And I like the city. I like to people watch.
Yeah, I liked it because of the proximity to so many different things for people. And the other cool thing is we had Linda Alvarado part of the event. I interviewed her on stage for an hour. And those that don't know, she's a commercial general contractor out of Denver. She's co-owner of the Colorado Rockies baseball team, and she actually built the hotel
I was about to say,
we had the fucking event in.
She built the damn hotel. It's like, what?
She built the Broncos Stadium and all this other stuff. And she got up and told her story of how, she got into the landscape industry and just got into concrete, then turned into a GC, and then built a building, and then decided to build one that was like 5 stories high. And then she built one that was 10 stories high. And then next thing you know, she's building massive projects literally around the world. And that was a cool story, just how down to earth she was. And she tried to choke me out. Did you see that?
I did. She was feisty. Like, she's not messing around.
Yeah. She was threatening me on stage. She says, you better watch your language or something like that, mister. She's lecturing me, or I'll choke you out. And I said, prove it. And then she got up and came over and started choking me.
She was
fun. She was great with her time. Like if you haven't been to events, guys, a lot of the speakers that you bring in, especially the higher dollar ones, they fly in, they do their thing, and they leave.
Yeah.
And Tommy hung out, and Marcus hung out, and Linda hung out. Like it was just like they hung out and really gave of themselves. And I think that's also a testament of, I think we got it right with the speakers. People that were truly our people.
We're down to earth. And that's what everybody loves. And we always hear this from other speakers. And I've seen this in the past too. Other speakers come in and they end up, staying around. And it just, and when Marcus says we're his favorite group, I really believe him. Like I would think that would be lip service from other people, but I genuinely, but it's because we're the people that have built America, right? Like this is like, they're so down to earth.
Yeah.
The vision is so clear. You have created this vision of what the fight is and what the fight means. And when these people come in and they join the group and they see that it's actually real, and they find their family that they didn't know that was actually out there, they get to choose them, right? And it just makes sense. Why would you not get caught up in this? Because everybody's rowing in the same direction.
Yeah. Yeah. And this year we had a different agenda, in the sense that we got feedback from our VIP ticket holders the last couple of years that they wanted more in-depth stuff, deeper dives. And so we started the event on a Thursday with a VIP day where we had morning and afternoon workshops. And I ran one in the afternoon, but I was popping around. We had, probably won't remember, I should have the list in front of me, but I don't. John Jantz, who wrote the book Duct Tape Marketing. He's an old OG in the marketing world. And I know he fried fucking people's brains in his workshop. Shin-Fu, I went up again. Him and I were the same time. I was pissed.
Yeah. It's like, who did that?
Damn it, I'm not going to have as many people in my room. And Steve did a great workshop. I mean, think about how lucky people were if they were in that room with Steve for half a day. The Shin-Fu guy, the guy.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
And
Tim and I popped in there.
Feedback from people walking.
Well, Tim and I sat in there for the last half of it, and because it was like we knew that this might be the last time that Steve's going to be in a room that size, and literally going over. And it was so fun because Tim and I are literally going, oh, he's about to do this right now. He's going to do the takeaway. Like, watch this. Yeah. He's going to do it. And it was because we know it, right? It was like the guy that taught us this. And then I made sure at the end to acknowledge him and let everybody in the crowd know, like, I know a lot of you guys have been around him, but if you haven't seen him before, I don't think you really can appreciate and understand what you just received from this guy. Because he did, Tom. He literally went back to the origins, which, I'm passionate to protect that. Like, it will never change.
Yeah.
And there'll be other applications and other things within the fight. When it comes to the 5 steps of the sales process, that's going to remain forever, because it gets diluted sometimes and it gets changed. And just to hear him go over it, and it was so just on point of everything that he said, I was like, guys, I hope you appreciate this, because this man truly has changed everybody's room and everybody's life in this room that have seen him speak before. And it has now changed your life. You just don't know it yet. And that's
why we gave him the Impact Award a couple of years ago for what he's done for every one of us in this community and our families and their families. And it's crazy. And I had one attendee that was in his workshop. I said, how was Steve's thing? And he said, dude, there was this point, I don't know if you were in the room at the time, where Steve just says, throw me your objections. Like he was like, come on. And
it's just,
I guess for like 35, 45 minutes, person after person was just getting up, throwing him stuff. And I asked Steve about it, and he said, oh yeah, that was fun. And that's Steve, right? That was fun. Yeah. And I said, how'd you handle it? He goes, dude, you just don't abandon the 5 steps. Like you just shared.
Yeah. He just stayed
like
in
Steve what I love about Steve is he never gets, fancy.
No.
He just blocks and tackles, man.
Yeah.
Block and tackle. He works the basics to the point of boredom.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem basic. It doesn't seem basic. Like when it's happening, it's like, no, this is very, very, but no, he was shutting them down one after another. And there was one young lady she was holding on and holding on and holding on. He just kept on going, She was holding on. And then at one point she was like, I don't even know what to say right now. Like, I'm not even sure what to say. And then she recovered. She got back in there, and Steve's like, okay, we'll just keep going. And to a point, it was like I just wanted to tap out. Like, let me just tap both you guys out. Like, we're at a stalemate. Like, it's not, you're not going to get past him. It's not going to happen. So.
Not going to happen. You're good at sales when the prospect doesn't know what to say.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
When the prospect's backed into a corner, right? So,
it was great.
But yeah, there was, I know there's a workshop that we did on those that want to exit their business, and
that was cool.
A thing on leadership. And, but I'd say, as we start bringing this home now, I know we've been on here for a while. The highlight for me was being able to give the impact award to my Uncle Roy.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And we did that in my opening talk. Normally we don't do those until later in the event. And I decided to give that award because as I shared earlier, my talk was, for those that don't know, and you can catch it on the recordings. I talked about gratitude and that we don't have the fight without Uncle Roy because of the impact he had on my life when my dad married his sister. So he's my step uncle. He's more like my big brother. And he came into my life when I was 1 year old, total shit show at home and the family and all the other stuff. He helped me start my first business. He would lend me guys, so many different things through the years. And it was really cool. He came up to me on the last day when we were, he was about to leave and stuff. And he's like, dude, I haven't been able to have 5 minutes to myself walking around this place. I got so many people coming up to me and thanking me. So I thought that was pretty cool. And it's a, his son, Austin, came this winter, went skiing out here. We hung out with him for a couple of days. And I was just hanging out with Austin. And during that trip, I said, you got to get your dad to my event this year. And he's like, why? And I said, because dude, I was just kind of, I know you do this. You just look at how the dots have connected through your life and how this wouldn't happen without this and this and this. And it was right around that time that Austin was out. And I was like, holy shit, Roy's the guy. Mm-hmm. He's the one that created this ripple effect that in turn is truly impacting. It's already impacted millions of people. It's going to impact tens of millions more, in the next couple decades in the fight here. So I was fired up to be able to do that.
Speaking of Roy, I was sitting by Roy when you were up there sharing your story, and he didn't know why he was there. And was Austin with him? Was that his son that was with him?
Yeah.
Okay. And so we're sitting there, and I'm sitting back by the audio booth, and Roy's sitting, kind of up to my left a little bit, and then Austin's sitting basically adjacent to me on the left. And you're going through the story, and I know, I don't know the story, but I know you're talking about him. And he's listening. And when you got to the drum part, I believe, and that he taught you how to play drums, I literally saw Roy turn around to Austin and go, he's talking about me. And you could see him at that point kind of going like his whole, like then he knew why he was there. And his whole energy shifted to like, oh God, I'm about to go up on stage. Like you could see the whole like, oh shit, I'm about to get honored. So it was an honor for me to sit there and just watch this exchange happen. Him have that moment of like, oh, he's talking about me. So it was awesome.
Yeah. And you brought up the word honor there. This is kind of a side note. I guess I don't want to say it's a leadership thing. I think it's just a decent human being thing. But guys, if you're listening to this, think of all the people in your life that deserve a fucking pat on the back.
Yeah.
And, Derek, you're a fucking master at the whole making people feel important and making them feel special and all that stuff, which, we've talked about at length before, but like,
I appreciate that.
Just pull back and think of the average human being that you come in contact with each day. How many times do you think anyone's ever fucking took the time to honor them in any way in their whole life? You know what I mean? Like, so again, this, just you saying that word honor, it's not like, oh, look at me, I honored my uncle. No, he fucking deserved it and we're not here without him. But like, aside from that, it could be the guy at the fucking paint store mixing my paint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just doing a post on social media, taking the guy's picture and going, Eric here at Sherwin-Williams, he is Johnny on the spot for me every damn time that I walk in there. My order's ready. It's 10 minutes to closing time and he stays late to get it done so I don't have to come early in the morning. Whatever it is, you guys, I think the more honor you give people, there's a lot of positive benefits to it, but shit, think about what that does. And I don't mean this in a selfish way, but just think about what this does for your own personal brand. If you're known as somebody that's just grateful and you honor the fucking people that you deal with every day.
It's a low-hanging fruit that we don't think to pick.
It is. You mentioned Shinholzer, he used to there'd be lines at the Rock Yard, man, and they'd wave him up and guys are like, and he would always tip the kid working there. And every time he saw Steve's truck, he's like, get his ass up here and get him out of here.
Yep. It's $20.
You know?
I'm gonna get $20. It's amazing what $20 is not a lot of money, but something how that $20 exchange happens is worth thousands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Anything else that you want to touch on about the event?
I think the event as okay. So here we are, day 2, and literally I'm shaking someone's hand, and I literally feel my forearm being sore, like it cramped. And I went, I've never been around so many people that have came up and shook my hand, or I shook their hand to acknowledge them, that literally my forearm was sore from contractor handshakes. It was like, when does this happen? So that was funny, but just a connection and truly the gratefulness of the community. So that's the other side, is everybody's so grateful to be there. And there were so many people that just came up to me and said, just thank you, for what you're doing. And I'm like, no, thank you for just getting here. Like, that's the thing. Like, we have it in the fight. Like, they just have to get here though, because it's all here. So it was just the humbleness of the group, and back to that community, man. It was just, I miss it. And I literally was sitting in at one point, maybe day 2 again. And just, I was listening to you, maybe it's you and Lee speaking. And I was just like, there's been so many other events that I'm just ready to leave. And I was sitting there going, I could do a couple more days of this. Like, this is good, which that's tough when you're in a hotel for 3 or 4 days, inside like vampires. So that was something I noticed, that it just felt we were having so much impact, and the people really appreciated it, and other people reaching down, if you will, pulling others up. Like, it was just a beautiful exchange of the event.
Yeah, and I know we talked a lot about the energy and the vibe and the gratitude and the community and this and that. I don't want it to be missed on the fact that there was absolute fire tactical content being dropped in every session.
Yep.
I mean, all your session and all the other coaches, you guys did all those breakouts, the stuff from the main stage. Like, in fact, this morning I saw a Battleground member. He did a live this morning. I don't know if you've seen it yet, where he's like, I went to Mile High as like a Hail Mary. It's like, I only had I had maybe 2 weeks worth of work left. I got all this debt, that he brought into the business, a few years ago, long story. And he was like, I was ready to hang it up. And he's like, I walked out of there, not only with just the relationship stuff and the energy and this and that, but like tactical stuff that in his post this morning, he's already booked out like the next month since he got back from Mile High because of some of the things that he's implementing. Right. So guys, this isn't just like kumbaya. Hey, let's go hug our shirts off group of contractors. Right. That's a visual. But
I miss it.
But there's so much tactical stuff. Like, again, just thinking of you outlining your whole sales process of how you do shit, somebody catching that and being part of that, if they implement 15% of what fucking came out of your mouth in that session, they're going to make another 10 grand a month in their pocket.
Yeah. It's so cool when I watch people take notes when I say something, and because I've never been a speaker before this group. Like, this is, there was a couple like little events, garden center type things, but like this platform has allowed me to do something I'm really passionate about and really share what I've learned from others, just sharing again. And to now I can actually, I noticed this last year. It went from when I got on stage in the beginning, it was like a blur. Like, I couldn't focus on anything. And then as I've gotten better, like this year, I was literally able to look in people's eyes. And it's like, this is so wild. Like, I can truly engage with the person. Where I'm going with this is, I was watching everybody in the room, and I would say something, and I would see them take a note down and be like, okay, good. They heard something. There was a nugget there. And then, of course, through that, I definitely reassure you got to implement this stuff. If there's anything that I shared today, you have to take it home and you have to put it into practice, because that's it. This is not theory. This is fact. The things that I'm sharing is things that I've learned from people smarter than me, and then through this group. So the whole thing in the fight, none of it's theory. This is real shit. This is implementable things that you can really take home, tactical. And Tom, I do want to say this. What I'm noticing is, for years, motivational speakers got people motivated. But I think people have gotten so saturated with motivational speakers that they just want tactics. And I remember asking that question. I I guess I have to ask it on stage. Actually, what do you guys what's one thing that you're taking away from this? Like, what do you want more of? And I heard tactics, SOPs,
Yeah.
and tactics. They want to take things they can go home and implement. So that's what we do in Battleground. Like there's some motivation, there's some talks, if you will, but there's some the coaching that we do in there from all the coaches, from you and Steve and Micah and Tim, James, Anthony, Aaron, like they're literally, which trips me out, Tom. Trips me out. And I know we got to wrap this shit up, but I just get so passionate about this. Like there's people in this group that's like, it's all there. It's fucking here. It's right here. All you got to do is implement it.
Mm-hmm.
Just channel Derek. Just be oblivious. Just implement the damn thing.
Yeah.
It'll change. There's so much stuff in there. I can't even believe it. Can't even believe it. But
well, I think it goes back. There's an old quote. There's an old quote that's like, if one man was able to do it, another man can do it. And I'm butchering the quote, but the point is you're not special, you guys.
No,
I'm not.
I'm definitely not special.
So we're just
not at all. I'm lazy.
I'm special in certain ways, right? But it's a stop. I feel like so many people work their asses off to defend their miserable position that they're in instead of just implementing some shit.
Yeah.
They work harder defending their current situation and staying there instead of just getting a tiny bit uncomfortable today.
Yeah.
So like, I know we're all over on this thing right now, but like if you're new to Shin-Fu, right? And maybe that uncomfortable step for you is just saying, hey, Derek, before I run out there, maybe you blow out, you don't know how to do the motive. You don't know how to do anything, but maybe you just bracket someone.
Yeah.
You just go, listen, projects like this, I just want to give you a heads up before I get out there. Projects like this tend to run from 10 to 12 grand, maybe down to 7 to 8, depending on a few factors and upgrades and whatever. What would happen if we came out and we were in that range? Where would things go? Like that might be your discomfort for the day.
Yeah.
Right. So the point here is just, you got to implement, because you can't gain wisdom. You can't get better. You can't fix your mistakes, whatever it is, without getting uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So
it's just,
anyway,
get comfortable within discomfort. And if you do it long enough, that's the thing. You just got to stay in it long enough. Just don't quit. Like just stay in it. Don't stop.
Yep.
Just
is that your phone blowing up, man?
Oh, is it? Sorry.
I can hear your phone blowing up. It's like vibrating the computer.
Weird. It was actually. Yes.
Is that more deposits coming in?
I did get a good one earlier. So
there you go. Well, dude, I appreciate you. You killed it as the MC once again, man. You have such a good demeanor up there, and what I love about it is the people.
Yes.
And so it's just such a cool thing to watch. You get up there and you just have your kind of Southern chill, charmed way of doing things, and sets the room at ease. And, and I know you and the others on the team are like working the fucking crowd for days, and meaning like in the hallways and between.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like, what I'm saying is like just the amount of giving that our team does to people when they're there. I watch it. I see it. Like every time I turn around, one of you guys is loving up on somebody, man. And I appreciate it. So.
Well, all of us just didn't get attention as kids. So that's really what it is. Love me, please love me. I appreciate you trusting me to, get up there and get on stage. And I question every single time why you guys give me a microphone, but you know what? You gave it to me, so I just run with it. So I'm really appreciative and thankful that you guys do that.
All good, man. Well, dude, thanks for shooting the shit here today. Guys, share the show. Give us a rating or review if you haven't done that. We're closing in on 1,000 episodes, and that's, we got to reach more contractors. So our part is to do this. Your part is to share it and rate it. Be on the lookout for Mile High Profit Summit 2024 event recordings coming out soon, so you guys can grab some of these tactics that we touched on here a little bit today. And Derek, appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Tom. It's always a pleasure.
All right. We'll see you guys. We're out.